The snow is melted.
Yes.
Just another stay-at-home day.
So like every day then, is that what you mean?
When it's cold.
Well, I think we will take that opportunity to call this meeting to order. Welcome everybody to the Rotary Club of St. Albert morning Zoom meeting number 1506 on May 21st, 2021. I'm your host, President Mark Dixon, and I recognize executive members present, board members present, fellow Rotarians, guests, and maybe guests who are thinking of becoming Rotarians. Please stand if you can for the singing of O Canada.
I might do that this
Command, as we see thee red, nostrum and free. For Canada, we stand up and keep our land glorious and free. For Canada, we stand on guard. Holy, stand on guard.
Excellent. I can see that all of our efforts to learn the words to that song have paid off. So thank you all so very much. Our land acknowledgement, we respectfully acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of First Nations and Métis peoples. As treaty people, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, we share the responsibility for stewardship of this beautiful land. And now our inspirational moment. Kathy, if you would, please.
Morning, everyone. I actually requested to be the inspirational moment today just because last Friday we hosted, I think, the 8th annual Mayor's Inclusive Lunch. This lunch was started by Nolan Kraus and then has been since carried on by me. In my second term, I did a motion to create an inclusive hiring policy with the City of St. Albert. And then, of course, the Rotary Club of St. Albert is so heavily involved with the employment project. So I will say nothing other than I'm going to share a video with you. And I copied John, my technical support, on an email. So he's got the video link. So I will mute and John will share the video with you all now. And I hope you guys all enjoy it.
There is work to be done,
and we need someone to do it.
1 in 5 Canadians live with a disability.
That's over 800,000 Albertans
who want to feel a sense of pride and contribute to their community.
Not all disabilities are visible.
Chances are you already have employees living with disabilities
and just don't know it.
This is your chance to build a workforce
who both understands your customers
and aspires you towards creative innovation
and increased profits.
Not only is it the right thing to do,
it just makes good sense.
Inclusive employers can expect
reduced turnover,
increased sustainability,
improved workplace culture,
and public favorability and support.
There is no reason to wait.
There are qualified people who can do the job you need
and are happy to show up every day and do something they love.
Inclusive employment creates strength
and resiliency in business.
Let's step up, Fort Saskatchewan.
Let's step up, Stony Plain.
Let's step up, Devon.
Let's step up, Leduc.
Let's step up, Beaumont.
Let's step up, St. Albert.
Strathcona County.
Hornville.
Sturgeon County.
Spruce Grove.
Edmonton.
And do the work.
That needs to be done.
Powerful, powerful message. Thank you for that, Kathy. And John, your technical support. Introduction of guests. Kathy, if you wouldn't mind doing the first round introduction of our guest speaker, please. Surprise.
I didn't know I was going to do that right away. So yes, we are very honored today to have Speaker of the House, Nathan Cooper. So Nathan was elected to the Legislative Assembly of Alberta, representing the constituency of Old Disbury Three Hills on May 5th, 2015. And then I was.
Yeah, first round.
Mr. Cooper's with us. I'll introduce him later. How about that?
That's what I was looking for. Thank you very much. Raheem is with us as well. Welcome, Raheem.
I'll find you for that later, Kathy.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Thank you very much.
President Mark, I'd like to introduce my good friend Raheem, who has joined us. I'm trying to convince him that Rotary would be a good use of his time on Friday mornings.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, John, and welcome, Raheem.
Thank you very much for allowing me to attend.
Anybody else? I see Patty Barrow. Welcome, Patty. Anybody? Romper room. Well, the last one is our very own Natalia. So welcome, Natalia. So let's welcome our guests with, imagine that, the welcome song.
Welcome to Rotary, glad you are here. Come shake our hands
and share a friendly cheer.
Whether from here or whether from far, we're glad you're here. We hope that you will like our little song.
Because we're proud of St. Albert, and you agree. Come join some great camaraderie.
So do we can help in the needs of the community. Friends at
Rotary.
Amazing. You can hear the baritones and the tenors and the whole thing happening there.
They all have their mics on. It sure sounds good.
I know. Thanks to Mike for that. So without further ado, let's go do our full introduction of our guest speaker. Kathy, if you would, please.
Okay, where was I? So yeah, sorry, Nathan, for screwing this up to start. Anyway, so yeah, Old Disbury Three Hills is his constituency, elected in 2015 and then again in 2019. And then on May 21st, 2019, the Honourable Nathan Cooper was elected by his fellow MLAs to serve as the 14th Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Alberta. He also serves as the chair of the Special Standing Committee on Member Services. He previously served on Standing Committee on Privileges and Elections, Standing Orders and Printing, and the Standing Committee on the Legislative Officers, and the Special Standing Committee on Member Services. Prior to serving as a member of the Legislative Assembly, Mr. Cooper held a number of employment positions, but most recently was Chief of Staff and Director of Legislative Affairs for the Wild Rose Caucus. Previous to this, he served 2 terms as a councillor for the town of Cochrane. Having been involved in the 4-H program from a young age, Mr. Cooper has won numerous public speaking awards, and he continues to support 4-H as a volunteer judge. Mr. Cooper also had the privilege of being a Rotary Club exchange student in 1998 and still continues to support Rotary clubs today. So Nathan, Mr. Cooper, welcome, and we're honored to have you with us this morning.
Hey, well, thank you so much, Kathy. It's actually my great pleasure. Like when I started the week, I got thinking to myself, man, the thing that I'm most looking forward to is Rotary karaoke on Friday morning. It was entirely awesome. So thank you so much. In all seriousness, I am really, really pleased and honored to be here. And welcome to my car for those of you who missed the announcement. I live in a tiny, tiny little valley just outside of Drumheller, where my internet service is quite shady. And so I've come to the top of the hill to have our chat this morning. And before I begin to the actual prepared remarks, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for being here this morning, for being part of the Rotary Club of St. Albert. You know, sometimes it's easy to lose track in the week to week of the importance of our involvement in Rotary, and also to see the bigger picture of the impact that Rotary has, not just in St. Albert, but right around the world. And I'm reminded, I was thinking about this week, and I'm reminded about my dad used to always say to me that each and every day we needed to be cautious or conscientious of interactions that we have with people, because we never know where our influence will stop. And I was introspective about that statement this week, because I was thinking about a guy by the name of Doug Morton. And Doug Morton was my outbound Rotary Youth Exchange counselor in 1997 from the Regina Eastview Rotary Club. And, you know, my interactions with Doug Morton were probably less than 15 times between getting ready to go on youth exchange and he actually interviewed me for my youth exchange selection. But in some way, there is a small part of Doug Morton in my everyday life today, because some of the decisions that I made in my life are a direct result of the investment that Doug Morton made in mine, through because of the introduction to Rotary and a whole bunch of those sort of things. Many of those things shaped the person of who I am today. And Rotary does that sort of thing. If you think about the impact that Rotary has day in and day out, whether it's through youth exchange, whether it's through inclusion programs, you really are part of something much bigger than any one of you, than the Rotary Club of St. Albert. And so from the bottom of my heart, as a passionate community builder, I just want to say thank you so much for getting up every Friday morning to do the things that sometimes might feel mundane, but actually make a massive difference in building and changing the lives of others, and building the communities around us that help build a strong and vibrant province. Now, today is actually a very special day for me. It is exactly 2 years ago today that I was elected to be the 14th Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Alberta, and it's quite an honor that I have been bestowed by my colleagues, and I take this honor quite seriously. For many people, the Speaker's role is seen as this referee, this hall monitor, this principal of a school. And really, that's the extent of it. That when we're in session, the main job of the Speaker is just to keep order and try to keep 87 sometimes poorly behaved individuals in line, if you will. But I actually believe that the role of the Speaker goes much beyond just that. Now, from a parliamentary democracy perspective, the Speaker's job is essentially to ensure that the rules are applied equally to all members, and that all members have the resources that they need to effectively represent their constituents. But I think that that role goes a little bit beyond that. I believe that the speaker's role must also defend, maintain, and try to build faith in our democratic institutions. And so I have taken to trying to help educate people about some of the things that go on under the dome in Edmonton, to connect those things to our daily lives. And so I speak to a lot of school groups about this particular topic. And not that long after actually being elected, I was speaking to this grade 6 class, and we were at the question and answer period, and this girl at the back of the class puts up her hand and says to me, I called on her, and I actually don't even remember the question, because the preamble of her question was this. She said, "I don't think that any elected official will ever make a meaningful impact on my life or my career." And I was like taken back. I'm like, absolutely my life work basically just devastated by a 12-year-old. And I really started thinking about this. And the challenge is that she's not alone. That a lot of people have become so disconnected from our democracy that they don't think that there's a lot of point or a lot of reason for that. And so I've sort of taken it upon my little personal mission to try to change some of those feelings for Albertans. And so why does any of this matter? Because I don't engage in this conversation as a partisan politician, because largely in the role of speaker, I remain nonpartisan. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I am also, as it turns out, human and fail from time to time at some of these things, but certainly it's my duty to try to do that from a nonpartisan perspective. Now, as a speaker, I have a number of duties. And sometimes that duty means calling out members in the chamber for the use of unparliamentary language. Sometimes that duty is defending individuals' right to assembly and right to free speech on the grounds of the legislature. And sometimes that duty includes enduring 36-hour filibusters that are heavy on words and very short on bathroom breaks. But I also believe that that duty extends to this role of education. And in large parts, over the past couple of years, I've really tried to find ways to connect with Albertans. And so I've made a number of behind the scenes videos, if you will, that explain the parliamentary nuances of our procedures. And I think mostly these sort of behind the scenes educational videos have gone pretty well. I still get the occasional snide comment I think recently I got a comment from a guy who called me Bill Nye the Science Guy, but for politics and only nerdier. I think that one might be a little bit true. But a lot of the reasons why I do these videos is because I'm very personally passionate about our democracy. And I've often joked that there are tens and tens of people who care about what's actually happening inside the legislature. And my goal is to try to change that to dozens and dozens of people. I hope that we can find a generation of elementary and secondary students that believe that it's okay to be passionate about these sort of things. Yes, it's about education, but it's also about appreciation. And largely to the average outsider, almost everything we do inside the legislature may not seem relevant to the issues of today. And so it's so easy to see our various ceremonies, from royal assent to the speech from the throne to the language that we use, and ask ourselves, how or why does any of this matter? But I think when you look closer, it does matter, all of it. So I just want to take about 5 more minutes talking about some of the symbols of the legislature and why those things actually do matter. Take, for instance, the mace. Now, the mace is the symbol of the Queen's power in Alberta. And every single sitting begins in the same way, with the Sergeant at Arms presenting the mace to the people. The mace is a symbol of the sovereign's power, whereas our assembly can't sit without its presence. And it is a symbol of the power entrusted to the people of Alberta, to the representatives of the people in the people's house to write laws for the people. And to me, that one simple ceremony tells the story of a centuries-long struggle for freedom, justice, and democracy. Now, it is true that I take this particular ceremony a little bit more personal than most, and I'll tell you why, is that the speaker's role actually dates back to 1377, at which time the duties of the speaker were largely that their job was to advise parliaments of monarchs or of the monarch's wishes. And since that time, monarchs who were displeased with Parliament's resolutions have actually executed no fewer than 9 speakers. So I took the job with a little bit of fear and trepidation. Now, good thing for me is that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, long may she reign, has a very good track record of not executing speakers. So I think we're on a pretty good path there. But let's take another symbol. For example, our provincial motto, Fortis et Libre. It translates into strong and free. And although it was adopted quite recently, not till 1980, I can't think of a better motto to describe both the characteristic and the aspirations of our province. And historically speaking, and even in present day, much of the political discourse is often on the left versus the right. But I think that when it comes to the welfare of our people, there is another spectrum that is just as important, if not more important. And that is the spectrum, or on one hand, you have authoritarianism, and on the other hand, you have freedom. And our parliamentary democracy, the democracy that you and I both share together, is firmly rooted on that freedom side of the spectrum. We believe in a free and open society where people both enjoy the political and the economic freedoms. And the economic benefit of those freedoms is also self-evident. Our prosperity isn't just by accident, it is the inevitable outcome of allowing people to do what they do best. And as it turns out, the side effects of that prosperity aren't too bad either. People tend to live longer and happier and healthier lives. And politically speaking, there's no substitute for freedom, be it freedom of religion, freedom of speech, or freedom of assembly. And it's worth noting that historically speaking, those who have sought to dominate others have devalued this freedom, claiming that it ultimately makes our society weak. But in Alberta, our motto, strong and free, it rejects this notion outright because we aim for both. For us, it's really a all or nothing proposition because that's the character, that's the attitude that makes Alberta one of the greatest places to live, work, and raise a family. The motto, just like the mace and the other symbols that you will see in the legislature each and every day, they tell a story of our history. They tell a story of who we are, but not just who we are, who we hope and what we hope to achieve together. And understanding those things is essential to understanding the most fundamental parts of our democratic institutions. And at times like this, when folks are feeling disconnected from their democracy, when individuals are feeling disconnected from each other, I believe that there's never been a more important time to defend, protect, and build faith in our democratic institutions. And I hope for just one of you this morning that I have done that a tiny little bit, that you will be interested to find ways to learn a little bit more about our democratic process. And if I can help you do that in any way, shape, or form, I look forward to being able to do that. Thank you so much for having me this morning. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to take some of those.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Really appreciate your passion, and hoping that your scars from that 12-year-old have healed nicely. Questions for Nathan this morning? Processing. Jackie, please.
Thanks, Nathan. That was a great talk, and as Mark said, full of passion. We are in odd times, and strong and free can mean so much to different people, but I was just thinking to ourselves, we will be strong and free again through vaccinations. If everybody gets vaccinated, we are going to be strong and free and have all kinds of liberties again. So keep up the good work, and we'll keep up the good work, and hopefully we will meet at the end of the road stronger and freer.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
Doug.
Yeah, my question is, Nathan, when you watch pictures and videos of the different, the National House and legislatures, every so often somebody wanders up and is whispering in the ear of the speaker, saying something. Who is that, and what's their role?
Hey, well, great question, and thank you so much. So inside the legislature, you have, I like to sometimes joke, when we walk into the legislature, the mace is carried by the sergeant at arms. So he or she, but in our case, it's a he walks in first. And I like to joke that my bodyguard leads us in, then me, and all my lawyers behind me to keep me out of trouble. So I'm protected on both sides. So once we get to the chair, I sit up in the chair in the dais, and then immediately below me, there is what we call table officers. And the first person is the clerk of the assembly. And so she is in charge of the entire legislative assembly office. So not only does the speaker deal with the procedural portions of our assembly, but also with the process portions. So the speaker is responsible for all of the IT, human resources. We have 90 offices all across the province and about 500 employees. And the clerk, she's responsible for the delivery of services for all of the Legislative Assembly office. And so it's most often the clerk or a table officer. At the table office, at the table, we also have basically always a lawyer there. And then we often also have a historian who is keeping track of all of the records of the assembly, the official records. So they're often providing me with procedural advice, guidance, what's happening next, or I may have also asked them a question to provide maybe some historical context to what's happening. So they're most often it's a table officer, and I might just say because she doesn't get enough recognition, the clerk of the Legislative Assembly of Alberta is a lady by the name of Shannon Dean. She's the 9th clerk of the Legislative Assembly of Alberta, and she's one of the most well-respected clerks in the entire country. And she, just like the speaker, has a unique job. There's only 15 speakers in the entire country, so sometimes it can be a bit of a lonely job. And just like her, there's only 15 clerks. So where you will have hundreds and thousands of engineers, you only have one clerk, and so she has a bit of a unique job. And I really couldn't do it without her. So thank you for that great question.
Thank you, Nathan. Kathy, you have your hand up.
I do. Nathan, it was nice to be able to read your bio, and I did not know that you were a town councillor at one point in your life. So I was wondering if you could maybe elaborate a little bit about the transition from locally elected to provincially elected. And
don't read anything into that question. Just curious.
Yeah.
I'm more thinking of the difference in how it works in a council chambers versus on the legislative floor.
So I think there are a number of things that that are obviously significant, and the party aspect of provincial politics is probably one of the most natural changes that people immediately think of. But the other thing that I think is a significant change that people don't necessarily think of is the structure of government is different. So when you move to a Westminster parliamentary system like we have at a provincial level, remember that democracy was born out of battle, right? So our democracy is the way that we do battle without actually killing each other, and so it by its very nature is confrontational, right? And our words in our Westminster parliamentary system is the only tool that we have. And so sometimes people will say like, oh, well, why can't you be more like a city? They don't fight and call each other names, which is fair. But when you transition to a Westminster parliamentary system, it is actually set up to be confrontational. And even from the way that we sit, we're like 2 sword lengths apart, and the sergeant is in the middle. It was built that way so that the battle could be done safely. And so I often talk about our parliamentarians as battling for ideas. And so that's often why it's so passionate in there, why it gets sometimes heated, because it's built to be confrontational. That might not be the best path, but it's certainly the path. And that is a massive transition from going from, well, it might not be a consensus government at City Hall. It often functions that way. And the big transition to a more a more confrontational format of government. And so I actually think the passion is good, that the real heated debate is good. It's just bad when it gets to like people using language that is unbecoming of parliamentarians or getting really personal.
Thank you, Nathan. Very good. Other questions for Nathan? Craig.
Good morning, Nathan. Great presentation. We're just going to ask you, as speaker, what's your biggest challenge?
Well, I think there are a couple of significant challenges. In many jurisdictions, the speaker, when they take the speaker's role, become completely nonpartisan. They actually leave caucus. But in exchange for that, all other political parties may call a truce on that individual and allow that individual to run unopposed in future elections. And so trying to balance representing my constituents and also fulfilling my parliamentary duties to my colleagues and to Albertans in a nonpartisan way proves a significant challenge, because there are many strongly held views of constituents in Old Stittsbury Three Hills. And so making sure that they feel represented in the legislature. Now, I always say there's lots of ways to get things done in Edmonton, and speaking out inside the legislature is only one of the tools that parliamentarians have. But that is a big challenge, particularly in the constituency, to connect with enough constituents so that they understand how they're still being represented, how they are still being heard, how the value proposition for the constituency is still one that is a benefit to constituents, but yet still trying to fulfill the nonpartisan role of the speaker. I mean, then and then on the other side is, you know, I sometimes joke that when I'm not at home parenting my 14, 12, and 8-year-old, I spend the rest of my time in Edmonton parenting 86 of my colleagues. But that's just an aside.
I'm feeling you, Nathan. I'm feeling you. Other questions for Nathan? Seeing none, Nathan, thank you so much. Very informative. Thank you for bringing humanity and humor to your role. I cannot see you in the legislature without thinking Nathan Nye, the legislature guy. I love it.
Exactly right. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time this morning. And speaking of parenting, I should probably get back down the hill and get those guys ready for their schooling.
Well, thank you, Nathan. And as a thank you for your presentation at our meeting today, we will be making a donation in your name to the Rotary International Polio Plus program, a worldwide program that you are likely familiar with, focused on polio eradication.
Man, thank you so much. That's very kind and generous of you. If I do enough of these, I'll be a Paul Harris Fellow in no time.
There you go. Thanks again, Nathan.
Okay, guys, take care. Thanks again.
Safe journeys. Reports and announcements this morning. Doug, did you have a community services update from yesterday? I don't know if you wanted to speak to any of that. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, maybe just to let the group know that we will be moving ahead with the project to communicate with, particularly in starting with the seniors at the Citadel Muse, by sending them messages of hopefulness and thinking about you. This will be a card that will have the Louis Lavoie mosaic on the front. And we, under Sandra Fenton's guidance, we will be seeking Rotarians to volunteer to do some handwriting messages. And so we'll be in contact with club members. The first go is only about 65 message cards. And so we'll be back to club members asking for support. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Doug. Flags pickup is happening this coming week, and you would have seen some emails around that. We are doing a frontline workers recognition program on the 25th and 26th. So you will see flags outside of the, by the entrance of the Sturgeon Hospital, the 3 fire stations, and the RCMP station as a thank you to the frontline workers. Our fireside chat is coming up on May 26th at noon this coming Wednesday. So please join if you are able. The Safe Scavenger Hunt is on June 5th, and I have the date correct this time. Our club is participating. It's all hush hush at this point, but we'll be able to share some images after the fact. And Ribfest is coming up on 11th to 13th in the parking lot at St. Albert Center. Lots of work going on behind the scenes feverishly. It's so exciting. We can't stand it. Are there other announcements? James.
Yeah, I'd like to report back on the Integrity Awards that were on Monday night. Daryl Baker is there. If I see you out there as well, Daryl. Love to hear from you and have your quick input. But I just want to read from you a little bit from the program. What was the Integrity Award criteria? It gives you a little bit of understanding. There were 16 recipients, and it was the most moving presentation via Zoom or live that I have ever seen. So personally, I was just blown away by the outstanding people of service above self. There was probably, there's 16 awards, and there was probably 100 different groups and charities, nonprofit organizations that are affecting lives in such amazing ways, and individual people that were just so humble and honored. We awarded John Liston. He gave a great presentation, and I was just so proud of John and St. Albert Club and what happened. But integrity award criteria. The general guidelines for integrity awards paint a picture of admirable virtues in non-Rotarians as interpreted by individual clubs. Sometimes these are referred to as those unsung heroes deserving recognition and who have a lifestyle consistent with the Rotary four-way test. Consider it. Live with purpose, expressing principles widely accepted in the community. Representative. Take a stand without concern for personal loss or reputation. Brave. Pursue their integrity without the need for recognition within the community. Selflessness. Have made a personal contribution to the region, warranting special recognition. Generous. So I just wanted to share that with you. I know, Mark, you were there as well. Your comments, and Daryl Baker, if you wanted to give a little shout out.
Thanks, James. Yeah, great event done virtually. I've attended a number of them live in the past. I think the Integrity Awards is another really great thing that Rotary does locally, and I'm really glad our club's involved. I was attending along with my wife Kelly, who's president-elect of the Northeast Club. They were actually the club that started the Integrity Awards, and they had 2 nominees. So it was exactly what you said. It was humbling and inspiring to see all the people who are recognized. There's so many people doing so many amazing things that you don't even know about until you go to an event like this, and you become aware of how many great things are happening out there just kind of under the radar. So it's really nice to be able to celebrate the tremendous contributions that people are making in the community. So yeah, I really enjoyed the evening. I thought it was fantastic.
Thanks, Daryl, and thank you so much, James, for championing that initiative. It was definitely a great evening, and such a range of worthy individuals, young adults doing amazing things, to our own John Liston, to even Dr. Dina Henshaw, who didn't want to accept the award, but accepted it on behalf of her team. So yeah, it was very moving evening. Any other announcements?
Just one with regards to the car rally. We need some more participants, so get your families out, get in your cars. I hear that there's a team called Double Trouble, the Farting Skeletons, and I think the Hannibalists think they can win. So who's your team going to be?
Very nice. Thank you for that, Charlene. And I see in the chat, Laszlo, 606 flags sold. So amazing work. We've definitely bumped up that program. So thank you to Laszlo and Don and John and Robert and so many other folks who have made all of that happen behind the scenes and even in front of the scenes on front lawns. So thank you. Our next morning meeting is May 28th. Joe Beringer, Guatemala Literacy Project. Birthdays and anniversaries with our very own Natalia. Natalia, are you there?
Yes, I am there on a FaceTime with Rebecca.
Woohoo!
Okay, so we have Jennifer McCurdy, May 26th, and our date to join a Rotary, we have Ryan Tachuk, 1 year on May 22nd. Congratulations.
Nicely done. Thank you, Natalia. Happy birthday, Jennifer and Ryan Tachuk. 1 year. Congratulations. Our sergeants at arms, I was just thinking, you know, they have the mace in the legislature for the sergeant at arms there. And I think our sergeant at arms was actually maced once. So there's a nice continuity there. John and Mark, I'll hand it over to you.
You know, President Mark, I'm going to stop telling you stories when we're out socializing because you seem to remember this stuff. And I will point out that we, for 1 year, did actually have our own mace, thanks to Heike. She had the pineapple on the post, if you all remember that. So, yeah, maybe that'll become a thing of legend one day, although she already is. Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Not bad. Yourself?
I have no complaints.
I was thinking we should do, I was watching, I think it's called Tosh.0, some kid thing. And he just comments on people's videos, and we should do that. Just comment on people's videos on Rotary and then just find them randomly throughout the week.
Yeah, we could do that. I bet you the Rotarians would love it if we just randomly emailed them a fine. It'd make their day, wouldn't it?
I think so. Or we can have like a YouTube show. It's just you and I bantering back and forth about, you know, the Rotarians, what they're doing this week. And
isn't that kind of what we do with Sergeant at Arms every Friday?
Yeah, but maybe it's like every day. I don't know. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, what else do we have to do, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. All right, you got the game? You got the full list this time?
I got the game. I got a full list. I've recruited some people. So yeah, it's the scavenger hunt 50-50. You're running around your house trying to find items to win some money, some cold hard cash. So Natalia.
Daria, sorry, I'm going to interrupt Daria before you leave because you're sneaking up before we get to find you. So I'm finding you for that. Enjoy your meeting.
Busted.
Nice. So Natalia, number between 1 and 7. No, 1 through 8. I forgot Jody sent me some money.
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
What was that?
Okay, I picked 5.
Perfect. And I'm sorry, another number. I need to. Yeah, I forgot how the game works.
Okay, I picked 4.
Perfect. 5 and 4. All right. So we have Sandra and we have Daryl Baker. I know, Daryl, you're always there. You're just the lucky one this year. So in honor of the May long weekend, since most people go camping or do some fun stuff, I want to see an item that you would take camping. Daryl's off to the races. Sandra, are you even there?
Knitting!
Yeah, you. Oh, you're knitting.
Knitting. For those rainy days in the church.
Yes, when it snows sometimes on the May long weekend.
Daryl went to his neighbors.
But Sandra, you take knitting everywhere.
Yes.
Way too late, right? Did Sandra already win this a long time ago?
Yeah.
It's okay. What do you have, Daryl? What do you have?
Propane for Coleman stove.
See, that's camping. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like that's a real thing.
What did Sandra have?
Oh, we'll give it to Sandra.
Well, we will. I mean, she was so excited.
She brought her knitting, Daryl. She brought her knitting.
Knitting.
She was sitting through Rotary knitting, and she's like, "Oh, I take my knittings."
You know what? I totally understand that. That's you need to have knitting if you're going to go camping. Propane is optional, but knitting is necessary.
Exactly.
I get it.
Yeah, yeah, she can knit a tent. That's right.
So there we go. That is scavenger hunt 50-50. Very easy game. Daryl, did you break a sweat there or what?
Yeah, I'm going to go camping now.
Perfect. All right, everyone, just send your $5 to me and we'll get you into the game. So we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Well, I have a few screenshots I can share here. Let's start off. I think, I mean, we can agree that MLA Cooper's presentation was really, really interesting. He gave a great perspective, but sometimes political chat isn't for everybody. And, you know, obviously Jill's one of them as she fell asleep in the middle of the presentation. So Jill, that'll be $5 to you, my dear. Who do we have next? Now, sometimes you know, you think you know everything, so you just get up and you leave from the meeting, Kathy, and you don't actually pay attention. So there's Kathy's empty chair. I like having her on her own camera for a change. What else do I have here? Well, I am going to say that, you know, Zoom has been really good for Rotary to stay connected, but I think it can really help out certain businesses. Like, for instance, if you're an optometrist, you can blur the background and, you know, there's a gold mine worth of glasses you could sell here, Kim. So because you're going to make all this money off of Zoom eye tests and how blurry you're going to make it, we're going to hit you for another $5 as well. I'm not going to find anybody for O Canada, although that was awesome is a word for it. Not because, you know, we only had 2 people that had their mics going and were not singing all that well, but it's actually, I gotta say, I asked everyone to stand up and people have been really good about it. So the next stage in this is going to be teaching everybody to angle their cameras up. We love that you stand for O Canada, but the crotch shots have got to stop. So next week, if we are getting crotch shots during O Canada, I'm going to start handing out some fines for that one. Now, finally, where am I? Everyone knows that we've got the Oiler game tonight, right? We got kind of thundered by the Jets 2 nights ago, so we got to make it up. And I got to say, Myron, you're the only person here that is wearing an Oilers jersey. So you, sir, get to pick somebody to fine, and they'll pay a $5 fine on your behalf because you're the only super fan in the group. So Myron, who do you want to fine?
I'm curious, Doug, you've got a sweater on. What is it?
Oh, we got Doug? Hey, okay, so both of you guys can pick someone together. Or pick 2 people, fine.
All right. Why would I want to find somebody? Can I give someone a credit?
Sure, whatever. As long as I get $5 out of them, you can do whatever you want.
I want to give Daryl Baker a credit because he lost out on scavenger hunt.
Okay. And Doug, who do you have?
Does that mean I get to pay, or what's going on here?
Yeah, you got to pay.
No, next
Perfect.
time. Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Next time you get fined, you get a credit. Yes. So you can skip the next fine.
Andre looks like he wants to give you money, so let's go with Andre.
Fantastic. All right. Do we have any happy bucks out there today? What a miserable bunch of people. Again. Anyone happy? Andre.
I'm happy. My whole family is vaccinated first round, so I'm happy.
That's fantastic.
I'll double that, Andre. Our whole clan is vaccinated too, so I'll throw in happy bucks too.
And the Carl Heron family will do the same as well because our whole household has been vaccinated. Doug?
Yeah, mine's a sad buck. I went and spent $500 on plants, and and we'll spend today trying to revive them. I was going to ask Charlie Schroeder if he had any advice on if there was a way to revive plants, like mouth to pedal or, you know, something like that.
That's why you need to be lazy and wait till like June to plant plants.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Charlie's advice would be don't plant till after the May long weekend.
Well, I'm not hearing Charlie go to, so I'm going to find him $5 for no advice.
Well, I was just unmuting.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. 250.
Yeah, well, I think my advice would be to go and buy some more plants. And unless, you know, just keep them warm for a while. Maybe some of them will come back.
Okay. Well, I did put a heating blanket on my tomatoes. Anyway.
Or Doug, just win a 50-50. You're pretty prone for that.
Yeah.
And one other thing, Doug, just check the weather forecast.
Yeah. Well, they were the tomatoes were covered for frost last night.
Too funny. All right, anyone else happy today? Or sad?
My youngest gets possession of her house, so we'll be empty nesters fairly soon.
Fantastic.
We're the opposite of that. My son and his family have moved into our house until they get possession of their house in July. So I'm living with a 7-year-old and a 4.5-year-old.
Hey, Jackie, you're going to do a Tide commercial?
I should do a Tide commercial. I should do what happens when little kids live in your house, tripping over Lego, stepping on Lego. Yeah, it's all happening all over again.
Crazy. Anyone else? Anyone else? Going once, going twice. I have one last fine to hand out. And that's because the tradition of introducing guests is important in Rotary. And Jen McCurdy, you did not introduce your guest, though we saw your puppy popping its head up there a few times during the meeting. So I'm going to hit you for that one. All right. But other than that, folks, I think we're all done. Please send your fines to me. john@niceagents.ca is the email. You can e-transfer it. We know you all know how, so it's on you. Please send that money.
John, on that note, did you introduce your daughter today?
No.
Shit. All right, I'll e-transfer myself $5. Damn it.
Nice one.
All right. With that, I'm out.
See you guys.
Nice catch there, Andre. Go figure. We are on social media. I had no idea. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. We have so many posts happening out there. These meetings are posted on YouTube, and we are smoking on Slack. Thank you so much to everyone, to Nathan Cooper for his On the Road show. It was great. Kathy for the multiple introductions. Natalia, birthdays and anniversaries. Sergeants at Arms, John and Mark. Our guests, fellow Rotarians. And remember, if you need support, please, for yourself or someone else, do not hesitate to reach out. Lynn King is our caring coordinator. There are many resources online, St. Albert website, Government of Alberta website, many others. And try and get into the habit of asking, how are you, really? Please join me for the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth?
Is it
fair
fair
to all concerned?
Will it
Will
build
it build
goodwill and
better
better
friendships?
Will it be
Will it be
beneficial
beneficial
to all
to all
concerned? Will it be fun? Thank you, everyone. Have
A good
an amazing
weekend.
day and a great long weekend.
Have a good weekend, all.